Without objection, the chair is authorized to declare a recess at any time. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first fiscal year 2026 budget hearing for the Subcommittee on Commerce, Justice, Science, and Related Agencies. I'll begin by recognizing myself for an opening statement. We want to welcome our witness, the Honorable Kash Patel, Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, to this subcommittee. Director Patel was sworn in as the FBI's director on February 21st, 2025. At your swearing in, you stated that there will be accountability within the FBI and outside the FBI, and we will do it through rigorous constitutional oversight. That's music to our ears. Americans gave us a clear mandate in November to restore confidence in the FBI and de-weaponize the DOJ, and they haven't minced words. Ms. Dean.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers, Ranking Member Meng, Chairman Cole, Ranking Member DeLauro. And thank you, Mr. Patel, for your testimony and for being here today. I've been looking at the President's 120-word FBI budget request, the so-called skinny, I'll call it Ozempic request, that states that, quote, the undoing of the weaponization of the FBI is one of the administration's top priorities. The weaponization of the FBI is something that deeply concerns me. It should concern all of us. And yet, since taking office, President Trump has been on a revenge tour. He has targeted individuals, universities, law firms, with executive orders to cut them out or to make them come under his will. He has used ICE to disappear U.S. citizens without due process, and he's fully ignored a unanimous Supreme Court order, and then over the weekend wasn't sure if he was obligated to uphold the Constitution of the United States. In your book, your recent book, Government Gangsters, you include an appendix with a list of names that people have referred to as an enemies list. Now, I know you will claim it's just an appendix, not an enemies list. So let's focus on how the president sees it, on what the president calls it. And you proudly display his quote on the front cover of your book. The president calls this a brilliant roadmap, a blueprint. And I have not even raised your storied children's book, The Plot Against the King. It concerns me how many people from this blueprint have been targeted with executive orders and FBI investigations. The FBI cannot be weaponized, and under your leadership, it has been nothing but a weapon alongside the president to go after the president's perceived opponents, to stifle dissent and free speech. A few weeks ago, as we saw through a social media post that you quickly deleted, the FBI arrested a judge in Wisconsin for correctly asking ICE officials if they had a judicial warrant instead of an administrative warrant, which they did not have. Despite this judge following the law, on the morning of April the 25th, the FBI arrested the judge in an escalation of the weaponization of the FBI under your leadership. Let me be clear. A functioning democracy does not lock up judges. I am gravely concerned about the utter lack of independence of the FBI and its weaponization under your leadership. I am concerned that the president is using this book, your book, as a blueprint, as he has said. It's a blueprint for revenge. And I am concerned that your eagerness, a childlike giddiness to carry out the president's revenge tour, you've shown yourself to be unserious in your statements before you were sworn in and some after. You've shown yourself unfit to lead this important agency. I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a sad, solemn duty. And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
You
maybe
want to know what
need
I'm doing
write
to
a book
fix it?
about that. Let me move on.
Well, you should
Change
read the
topics.
book because there's no enemies
So-
list on that book.
So
There are
you-
people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people,
That's good. You
and they
gave
were
them due
rightly
process.
called out.
I'm
And
changing
you should give
topics.
that book to every one of your
I'm
constituents so they can
changing
read
topics.
about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6 insurrectionists, the violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times. 8 times. And you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing
Veracity?
perjury. Tell the American
You didn't
people how
know-
I broke the law and committed a felony.
You did,
Have the
but-
audacity to actually
No,
put the
all
facts
right, then the
forward
answer is
instead of
both.
lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second
answer is-
donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that the
The
men and
answer is
women of
you're
the,
failing,
Excuse me,
not
I
me.
reclaim my time.
Go ahead.
Mr. Patel, I believe that the members of the FBI, and I know many of them, many retired, 38,000 people, as you say, it's a little less than that now, deserve the very best, deserve extraordinary independence, deserve freedom from the fears of being investigated, the freedom of coming forward to make sure they're doing their job. And I'll end with this, that I think it's interesting that in your proposal today, you find yourself at a gulf of difference between you and the president. I wonder how you will resolve that. Will you go to the president and say we need $11.2 billion, not what you cut out of here? You're asking for more than $1 billion than the president's request. Are you going to go to the president and straighten out that gulf?
I'll do what I've always done and represent the American people, defend this country, and make sure the Constitution is always upheld and the FBI is never weaponized. Maybe you should do the same.
So you agree with the president when he says he doesn't know if he should uphold his constitutional duty?
If you want to just keep putting words in my mouth, the TV cameras are outside.
I thank you. I yield back. Again, this is an unserious moment, sadly, for the FBI. I yield back.
More so for you.
Mr. Strong.
Thank you, Chairman Rogers, Director Patel. Thank you for being here today. I'd like to also extend my thanks to your staff and the hardworking men and women of the FBI and for restoring America's trust in the FBI. I'd like to commend your efforts to move FBI personnel into the field rather than into the Beltway, where their work can be the most impact.
We do want to work with you, and we would love more additional information. Obviously, we won't be able to do it during this hearing, but after the hearing on how we can get to the specifics where you arrived at the $11.2 billion, we'd love to work with you. And then I do want to yield my additional time to my colleague, Ms. Dean.
I thank you. Thanks to Chairman. And I thank you for being here, Mr. Patel. I want to enter into the record pages 81 and 82 of your book, which is entitled Government Gangsters. And on 81, you said that Congress should use aggressive congressional oversight to expose every single bit of filth and corruption in the FBI and DOJ. Interesting, I didn't hear you talking about that anymore because you have 37,000 talented folks working with you and under you. You also, on 82, entering into the record, you wished that folks would testify publicly without time limits. I'm disappointed that we couldn't have done that. We should have not had such time limits. And then finally, I do want to enter into the record your Appendix B. It is entitled Members of the Executive Branch Deep State. And just pulling through a couple of them, I see listed in here dozens of people, but the Covington Law Firm, Mark Esper, Perkins Coie, Miles Taylor, Andrew Weissman, and so many others. I enter those into the record.
thank you for being with us today. We think that you're the right person for the job, and we're all wishing you well and success. Thank you for your devotion to this country and to the cause that you now head. Without objection, members may have 7 days to submit additional questions for the record. Thank you, Mr. Director, for being with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Committee
members
stands
of the committee.
adjourned.